Sports, a place where many athletes find success.
This is likely the final play that matters. End zone wide open. What a night for Mike Williams.
But where there's a winner, there has to be a loser.
He came a long way. You hear me? Come here, I love you, bro. Good.
It's one thing to watch the game, but another to analyze it. Let's talk about the numbers. You ready?
YouTube, what's going on, man? Back at it again with another video. It's your boy Numbers Fan Jay. We chopped. We back in there. Let's get it. Yes, sir. Anyway, so we have the NFC West predictions for you guys today. If you have not seen the NFC East predictions, we're gonna go ahead and drop those right there for you. Please go ahead and check those out if you haven't seen those already. Make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit that notifications bell, please. Now, getting into the NFC West predictions. Last year, we predicted before the season we had Seahawks at 1, 49ers at 2. That surprised a lot of people. Rams at 3, Cardinals at 4. The actual standings at the end of the season were 49ers at 1, Seahawks at 2, Rams at 3, and Cardinals at 4. So it weren't too far off. We didn't expect the 49ers to win the division. We did expect them to have a great year and make the playoffs. A lot of people weren't putting them in the playoffs to begin the season, but I was, because that's what I do. I got the information for you. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get into the cellar dwellers here. So we did pretty good last year on the predictions. We're going to go ahead and try to make it precise. Make sure every team is right where they're supposed to finish. But we're going to try at least. We're going to try. So we're going to go ahead and get into cellar dwellers for this division starting off. And we're going to shock some people starting off with this one. The Los Angeles Rams are going to finish fourth in this division this year in the NFC West. Last year, they went 9-7, but that was only good for third. They finished third in the NFC West last year. They went 4-4 on the road, so predicting them to finish last isn't a huge leap. You know, it's just one spot down. You know what I'm saying? So you can feel me a little bit on that one. You can feel me a little bit on that one. Trust me, trust me. All right, 2019 offensively, they were 7th in total offense, 4th in passing, 26th in rushing, and they allowed the fewest sacks in the league. Somehow only won 9 football games. So let's look at the defensive side. 13th in total defense, so they weren't trash defensively. 12th versus the pass, 19th versus the run, so a bunch of mid numbers here. 17th in points allowed. They're right in the middle in all of these numbers. 4th in sacks, so they were getting to the quarterback. Of course, Aaron Donald and those boys. Getting to the quarterback was great. 9th in takeaways, so they were top 10 in takeaways. 16th in turnover differential. Now that might be something to think about because they had a 0 turnover differential. Not +1, not -1, plus or minus 0, however you want to look at that. It's 0. But so they're going to look to get on the positive side of the turnover differential this year if they want to win some more games. Anyway, losses personnel-wise for the Los Angeles Rams. Dante Fowler Jr., of course, after getting injured with the Jaguars in his rookie season, we haven't seen that same guy that we thought he was going to be coming into the league, unfortunately. It's just very tragic. Greg Zuerlein, the kicker, he missed 9 field goals last year, so this is not a huge surprise. He was on my fantasy team, but I had to kick him off.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Corey Littleton, the starting inside linebacker, for the Rams, was also a loss in the offseason. Nikhil Roby-Coleman lost a little depth at cornerback there. Eric Weddle, the free safety, was one of the better free safeties in the league for the majority of his career. He played for my Chargers for about 9 years, I believe, maybe a little bit more. Todd Gurley was the biggest loss for the Los Angeles Rams here. We know Todd Gurley was the playmaker for the Rams. 2017, 2018, but we will get into that. Hold that thought. Additions, personnel-wise, I could not find any notable additions, but they did have coaching staff changes. Offensive coordinator Kevin O'Connell is coming in. Brandon Staley is coming in as the defensive coordinator. Coming off of IR, Darrell Henderson, of course, the running back out of Memphis. That's going to be huge because you're going to have somebody to make plays in the backfield now that you don't have Todd Gurley. Draft-wise for the Los Angeles Rams, they drafted Cam Akers out of Florida State, which is weird to me because they still have Darrell Henderson and they still have Malcolm Brown, who they did trust a lot in that Super Bowl run that they had. I don't understand why draft a running back that high. But hey, that's what they did. Van Jefferson, wide receiver out of Florida, as well as Terrell Lewis, defensive end out of Alabama. Now, the bottom line for the Los Angeles Rams here, I just think they lost too much, guys. I mean, just let's talk about a few more numbers here, and I'll explain why. So, Jared Goff with 2017, 2018 Todd Gurley. This is when Gurley was running for, like, from scrimmage, almost 2,000 yards. He was scoring about 20 touchdowns both of these years. Jared Goff's stats with Todd Gurley those 2 years: 63 total touchdowns, 38 total turnovers, right? 2019 is the year after Todd Gurley got hurt. You know, this is after his injury. 24 touchdowns for Jared Goff total and 26 turnovers total. So Todd Gurley clearly drove this offense. And I don't know how you trust Jared Goff at this point. You take away his running back and he just goes to playing terribly. It's ridiculous. Those numbers, that's a huge drop. In touchdowns and turnovers, the ratio is completely off without Todd Gurley. But bigger questions for this team. Defense against the run, like I said, they were 19th versus the run. Who's going to be their inside linebacker to make those plays that Corey Littleton was making? What are they going to do about the kicking situation? Who's going to fill in at free safety? There are a lot of questions here for this team. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to number 3 team that's going to finish third in the NFC West this season. This is also going to surprise you guys. I'm going to go ahead and apologize because the Seattle Seahawks will be finishing third in this division. I know y'all like, this guy's crazy. He has Rams and then Seahawks? Like, what? Listen, I got you. 2019 Seahawks were 11-5, of course. 11-5, they finished second in the division. They almost won the division. They lost to the 49ers in that last game of the NFL's 100th season to seal the division, to seal actually the number 1 seed for the 49ers. So, it was either number 1 or the number 2 seed. I can't remember. I'm sorry. 2019 offensively for the Seahawks, they were 8th in total offense. They were 4th in rushing. They were 9th in points per game. They were the 10th most sacked team in the league, right in the middle in giveaways at 14th. 2019 defensively, they were 26th in total defense, 27th versus the pass. This defense was not that good at all. They were 4th in turnover differential, though. So that's good because they were 3rd in takeaways on defense. They knew how to take the ball away. They didn't really know how to stop people outside of that. And that was the problem. If they couldn't get a takeaway, you were going to move the ball pretty fluently. That's just what was going to happen. You were going to score against them. It was going to happen. But 4th in turnover differential at plus 12. So this team was great at taking care of the ball and getting takeaways, scoring off of those takeaways at least. Losses personnel-wise for the Seattle Seahawks, C.J. Prosise lost a little depth at running back. Michael Kendricks, the starting outside linebacker, he was a big loss. Marshawn Lynch, of course, came back near the end of the season, tried to get in at the end, and it was kind of weird to me because it's like you haven't been playing. You can't just come in at the end of the year and expect this team to go win the Super Bowl or something. It's not going to happen. Josh Gordon is another loss. He will be reinstated. Of course, for those of you who don't know, the NFL has completely relaxed on their weed regulations, allowing players to smoke marijuana because some states, marijuana is legal, and it only makes sense that they allow these players to smoke marijuana. It only makes sense. Jadeveon Clowney was another loss in free agency. DJ Fluker was a starting guard for them. He was a loss in free agency. So we have a few losses here in Seattle. Additions-wise, they got Greg Olsen, you know, the veteran tight end from the Panthers. Know him from his Super Bowl run with Cam Newton, his good years there in Carolina. Philip Dorsett was another good addition there. At wide receiver, the speedster, we know him from his Indianapolis days with Andrew Luck. Hasn't done much since then. Coming off IR, Chris Carson and Rashad Penny. If y'all remember, the Seahawks were very short at running back to the point where they were only playing one running back sometimes the whole game. It was ridiculous. They were putting in no-name guys to run the ball for them. It was just a disaster. Something that no team wants to go through. So they go into the draft, right? The Seahawks draft Jordan Brooks, inside linebacker out of Texas Tech. All right? They drafted somebody. Darrell Taylor, defensive end out of Tennessee as well in the draft. And they didn't draft a guard, offensive line, from LSU, Damian Lewis, until the 3rd round. Now that is a problem going into the bottom line for the Seahawks. Offensive line is a problem. The 10th most sacked team in the league is the Seahawks. That's them. Russell Wilson is known as the magician because his line has not been blocking for him, and he just cannot seem to get this front office to draft O-line. Draft O-line and help this guy out. Stop making it so tough where he has to run around for 12 seconds until he gets time enough to throw the ball. He shouldn't have to do that all the time. But the bottom line, again, no coaching changes for the Seattle Seahawks, which I guess is a positive. No secondary help, though. That's the question for me. Who's going to help this team out in the secondary? They're 27th versus the pass. They didn't add anything into the secondary, and I don't understand why. This team isn't built to score that many points every game. This team loves to run the ball. Like, they don't have a receiver that's just gonna scare you and run for catch. Have a 200, 300 yard game like a Julio Jones. They don't have that type of guy, and they didn't go get that type of guy. So very baffling there for me. But anyway, we'll move on to the Cardinals. Cardinals come in at number 2. 2019, the Cardinals were 5-10. Finished last in the division, 1-5 in divisional games. Now, this is the spot that I had the 49ers in last year. Am I saying that the Cardinals can win this division? I don't think they can. Not just yet. But this team will be good this year. Trust me. I told y'all last year about the 49ers. I'm telling y'all this year about the Cardinals, man. Listen to me. Listen to me. 2019, offensively, the Cardinals were 21st in total offense. So nothing to brag about there. 24th in passing, not good. 10th in rushing, that is good. 6th most sacked team in the league. That is a big red flag. That's not good at all. But they were the 10th fewest in giveaways. They gave away the ball 10th out of, I don't know. I get stuck on this part of it. They have the 10th fewest giveaways in the league. Let's say that. There we go. 2019, defensively, this team was last in total defense. 31st versus the pass, 24th versus the run, and 28th in points allowed. This defense was horrible. Plain and simple. 19th in turnover differential at -1. Losses personnel-wise, David Johnson was really the only loss, but they still have Kenyon Drake, who, if y'all remember, they acquired him mid-season last year from the Dolphins, and he came in and had a heck of a year as a Cardinal. They did lose Charles Clay, but he didn't really do much. Additions personnel-wise, of course, When you trade away David Johnson, you get DeAndre Hopkins, according to the Texans. I have no clue. I still have no clue how the Cardinals pulled this one off. But DeAndre Hopkins is clearly a top 3 receiver in the game right now. Coming off of IR, they had Robert Alford, the cornerback from that 2017 Super Bowl Falcons defense. Big addition there. He did not get to make his Cardinals debut last year. He got injured in the preseason, could not play. They drafted, draft-wise for the Arizona Cardinals, they drafted Isaiah Simmons. This is the guy that I wanted my Chargers to get. The linebacker/safety hybrid out of Clemson, the absolute monster. They called him a Derwin James clone. He really does everything that Derwin James does. He's that type of guy. He's that type of chess piece. You can move him around anywhere, and he will affect the game every single play. Josh Jones, offensive tackle out of Houston, also a draft pick from the Cardinals. Bottom line for the Arizona Cardinals, no coaching changes. That is actually a positive thing for this team because Cliff Kingsbury, it was his first year coaching, being an NFL head coach. You have Cliff Kingsbury, you go get him DeAndre Hopkins in this offense that people don't really know about yet. You get year 2 of Kyler Murray? Are you serious? You give Kyler Murray DeAndre Hopkins in year 2, and he still has Larry Fitzgerald? They're on the same roster. Are you kidding me? This offense has explosion written all over it. Kenyon Drake, DeAndre Hopkins, Larry Fitzgerald. All they need is a solid tight end to finish it off. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to watch this offense again this year. Cardinals will be making some noise, finishing at 2 this season. Trust me, y'all. Trust me. Now, of course, after all is said and done, you know, you had to know, if you watched my videos last year, you had to know that I would be predicting this unless the 49ers had some type of meltdown over the offseason, which some could argue they might have a little bit of a meltdown. But listen, the 49ers are going to win this division again, man. I'm telling you right now. 2019, they went 13-3, first in the NFC West. They handled business game after game after game. They lost in the Super Bowl. Y'all know how I feel about the Super Bowl. We're going to go ahead and drop another card right here. If you haven't watched that video, please, I insist. 2019 offensively for the 49ers, they were 4th in total offense, 13th in passing, 2nd in rushing, 2nd in points per game. Tied for 19th in giveaways. This offense was great. They were great. It was fun. They were fun to watch. Jimmy Garoppolo and this offense, you know, all 4 of the running backs that they had. George Kittle was the clear-cut best tight end in football last year. It was awesome. It was awesome. Defensively, this team was 2nd in total defense. Like, the stats just show you. The stats show you why this was the best team. But I'm going to leave that where it is. This is 1st versus the pass, 17th versus the run, which was not so good. 8th in points allowed, 6th in sacks. We know that D-line is absolutely ridiculous. 6th in takeaways as well defensively. They finished 11th in turnover differential at +4, but it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. They just found a way to win games in the clutch last year. They're going to want to win more games by larger margins. Hopefully by giving away the ball a little less. Jimmy Garoppolo. Stop giving the ball away. But anyway. Losses personnel-wise, Emmanuel Sanders was a huge loss for this team. Made another playmaker on 3rd down in addition to George Kittle. I think he was the 2nd option for Jimmy G. Raheem Mostert requested a trade, which, keep looking at that. It hasn't been, you know, he hasn't been traded away yet. But please keep your eyes open. Raheem Mostert. Matt Breida has been traded, though. He was traded to the Dolphins. Mike Pearson, the starting guard, retired. Joe Staley retired, the starting tackle. Okay, we got a few starting old linemen that have retired here. Getting a little bit worried. DeForest Buckner was traded for the number 13 pick defensive lineman there. So there's a little bit of defensive lineman depth that has been traded away. We're seeing all these losses, right? We're seeing these losses. But remember I said this running back room was 4 deep. Remember, this defensive line was 4 deep. I mean, come on. But anyway, we'll get to that. We'll explain. Additions-wise, Travis Benjamin. Travis Benjamin? Like, what? If you got a team adding Travis Benjamin, I'm sorry, man. They're not worried about anything. They're adding Travis Benjamin. He drops everything. He's a drop machine. I know because he's been on my team the last few years. Coming off IR, though, the big thing here, Jerick McKinnon, who was projected to be the starting running back for the 49ers coming into the season. Draft-wise for the 49ers, they drafted Javon Kinlaw. They moved up to draft this guy because they traded DeForest Buckner for the number 13 pick. Defensive tackle out of South Carolina, Javon Kinlaw, of course. They also had another first-round pick in Brandon, hopefully I'm saying this right, Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk, the wide receiver out of Arizona State, whose production is just off the freaking charts. He averaged 31 yards every kick return, and that's insane. Like, what? 31? That's crazy. But the bottom line for the San Francisco 49ers, the defending NFC champions, they retain their coaches, guys. They retain their coaches, and you look at a lot of teams that lose the Super Bowl, their coach usually moves on to another team. I mean, the 49ers head coach came from a Super Bowl losing team in the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, but they retained everybody. They said, hey, you know what? Let's run it back, y'all. Let's run it back. Did they lose a lot of players personnel-wise? They didn't lose a lot. They lost a few significant players. Yes, they did. But you still look at this roster. Do they have offensive line problems? Losing the starting tackle, losing the starting guard, that is a problem. They will hopefully fix that. But looking at this roster overall, guys, they still have Nick Bosa. They still have D Ford, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Tevin Coleman, Kyle Juszczyk. This team still has Richard Sherman. And they have all these players, and I don't see why they wouldn't win the division again. I just don't see it. They still are loaded. They still got all their coaches. Why not? Why not? If you disagree with me, man, leave a comment. Let me know who you think is going to win this division this year. Thank y'all for watching, man. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. If you're new, thank you for your view. I appreciate you. Hit that notification bell as well. It's your boy, Jay. We out of here.